Anxiety is not what you think it is. In this little video, I'm going to explain what anxiety actually is and where it's coming from our genetics and so on, or where it actually was useful, and how to actually do something about it, to understand these programs. And if you like videos like that, and if you want to understand more on how the brain works, the subconscious mind, the conscious mind, and so on, subscribe. Ask your questions and follow me on the next videos, because in every video I explain a little bit something different. So this one is more about anxiety. I have some other ones about insomnia, depression, focus, making good decisions. So depending on what your interest is, it's all about that stuff in between the ears, which I say. It is a powerful tool there if you use it the right way. It can make you really successful, or it can make you make bad decisions, and also it can really help you to wire it the right way to get you out of problems. So if you are in chronic pain, that's another video I'm doing. So the rewiring of your brain is the key. So first of all, now, what is anxiety not? It is not something that you can never control. It is not something that you just have to live with, yeah? It is not something that you have to take medication for, because medication actually don't solve your problem. So what is anxiety actually? Where does it come from, yeah? So fear, fight, flight, freeze. And also, being afraid of falling when you're running, and then you're standing on the top of a cliff. Oh! Yes, you want to be afraid of falling. Yes, you want to react there straight away. Your adrenaline has to kick in, and you're reacting. Same as when you see a snake in front of you. Yes, you want to freeze. Yeah. When you see a dangerous animal, you want to be able to fight. Yeah. So this is all survival. Yeah. And we have been out there in nature for thousands of years, millions of years, and we survived. That's the tools we learned. But now we don't actually have those fears. A good fear is as well fear of noise. So if there is a truck coming down the road, you want to jump away, you want to run away from the road, yeah? But there is fears that don't really make sense, or fears that we trained for in our childhood. Most of the programs we're running through our daily life are trained from our first 5 or 7 years of life, and then we tend to repeat that again and then. Although we say we don't want to be like our parents, when we grow up, our parents are our gods, and we take those programs on. So for example, with anxiety, I just had a client coming in. Her mom had an anxiety problem. So straightforward, just to understand, why is she having one? Before we go deeper and understand more about it, the most obvious one is her mom had an anxiety, and anxiety is a way of dealing with certain stressors, because anxiety makes you not think clearly. Anxiety makes you not be able to do your normal tasks. It takes you out, it blocks you, it just keeps you safe. That's what the subconscious mind thinks. Because the subconscious mind does 2 things. So one, it keeps you safe. And so it keeps you away from all the triggers, all the bad stuff. It wants to keep you safe. And secondly, it wants to help you to have more pleasure. Yeah? So now, coming back to the anxiety thing. So there is a trigger, a trigger, and then this whole thing happens. The adrenaline goes up, you may have headaches, your breathing changes, all kind of things are happening, yeah? So let's go back to some good things. If you like Christmas, and if you were baking cookies and you have a good environment now, if you smell this kind of same cookies kind of thing, now it doesn't matter where you are, you just have the smell coming, your whole body is going to react. You suddenly have a happy feeling. You suddenly smile, although you don't really consciously know what happened. So there was this trigger, in this case a smell. Yeah. And that's the thing. So some of the explanation is that you have a thought and then the anxiety happens. I think it comes much before a thought. There's a trigger that you're not aware of, and then this program runs. We have many programs that are running. The subconscious mind can deal with billions of information at the same time. The conscious mind cannot. The conscious mind have 2 or 3 thoughts at the same time, and that's it. The subconscious mind, while I'm standing here, controls the blood flow to my little toes, my fingertips, my eyes, my breathing. Breathe slower, breathe faster. My speaking obviously connects the brain to my mouth, all these kind of things. I don't have to think on how do I move my mouth while I'm standing here and moving my arms. If I had to think about all these things at the same time, how could I actually do that? Same thing as you learned to walk. You learned walking. Walking is a really complex task. I'm a physio as well. I'm used to retrain people after a stroke, after an injury and so on, to retrain them back to walking. Walking is a very complex task. It not only involves balance, it also involves the muscles, the right time, the right thing. So that's why if a kid is healthy, they actually run, when they do regular training, at the age of 7, they're able to have a good running pattern. That's how long it takes, 7 years, to actually go into a good running pattern. But let's go back to now anxiety. Yeah. So we have many good programs, and we said before the subconscious mind has 2 functions: keep you safe and help you have more pleasure. Yeah. So the subconscious mind runs the anxiety program to keep you safe. So it immobilizes you. Anxiety is not helping you to clearly. It does the opposite, doesn't it? With anxiety, you don't breathe right. You have this superficial breathing. Your mind gets all kind of things. Some people have headaches. All kind of stuff is happening. That if you looked at yourself from the outside, you would say, yeah, but there is no snake. There is no tiger, no bear or whatever animal you have. You physically actually in a safe situation. Most people are. Unless you are in a violent situation at home, then please run away. So physically do something to get out of that. Don't let anybody hit you or, abuse you. Yeah, go out of that situation and seek help, please. But come back to the normal, to the anxiety problem I see people for. For example, it's also a learned, it can be a trigger. So something happened to you, and then since then, this is happening. Now, the same thing is sometimes easy to explain with PTSD. So there the trigger is known. With anxiety, often it's not known. Yeah. So there was a major accident or something that triggered the PTSD, and the emotions that are involved with the PTSD, they trigger this whole cascade. And the emotions are the powerful things in the body, because that triggers then all your breathing with all this programming together. So what's the key out of anxiety, out of this dysfunctional program? What can you change? How can you change it? And why do medication actually not do that? The medication just numbs you, but they don't actually change the whole thing. So we said it before, it was a trigger. And anxiety people don't usually know what the trigger is. If I ask them and say, what makes you anxious? It just happens. It's just there. It's just, whoo. And sometimes they are aware that they think certain things. That helps. But the good news is the subconscious knows what the trigger is, knows what the smell is, if it's actually even seeing something, a certain face. You probably don't even know that person, but this person reflects something in the subconscious mind, and then it just triggers it. The triggers are the ones that come and then this program just happens. So coming back to a good program, when you're sitting in the car, you don't have to think about driving. If you've been driving for a while, you don't have to think, okay, my back mirrors and how do I drive out, and the indicators, and which side of the road do I drive, and so on. So when you have been driving, you just think like, okay, where do I want to go? Do I want to listen to a radio? Do I want to listen to an audiobook? Or all kind of different things that have nothing to do with really how you drive. The same thing happens with anxiety. It's a trigger, like if you're sitting in the car and then the car driving program is happening automatically. It's a good program. But in anxiety case, it's not a good program. But your subconscious mind knows the program. So when you're on the trance or hypnotherapy, I can talk to your subconscious mind and change the program, change the trigger. At the moment with anxiety, your subconscious mind thinks it keeps you safe. There is this unknown trigger, and then it just lets this program run to keep you safe. To keep you safe, the subconscious mind thinks it's your survival is hanging on to that. That's why it's such an important program. And that's why talking about it often doesn't help, because your conscious mind is not aware of the trigger. Yeah, you see, you can go back to your childhood and try to figure out what it maybe is, but this is hard work. Often people come and see me after going to psychologists and all kind of different programs, or being frustrated because the medication doesn't do the trick. The problem is in the subconscious mind. The subconscious mind that still thinks this trigger, and then producing the anxiety keeps you safe. So if you change that whole program, the subconscious mind, like I said, is aware of the trigger, and you change the program. That's your solution for anxiety, because it goes back to the source. So it changes the source. Yeah. So if you have any questions, drop them below. If you have anything to say that you don't agree with me, that's fine too. You don't have to agree with me all the time. But just think about it and think like, if you could change the program deep inside, drilled in your subconscious mind, what else could you achieve? Are you aware of programs that hinder you to achieve more, to be more successful? I quite often see people with fear of failure or fear of success. That's an interesting one for another video. Okay, so follow me, share this video with other people, give me your thumbs up, and I see you in the next one. Bye-bye for now.